conditioning stuff that I would do, yeah.
Frightening to me. I would never, if you were in my gym, I would quit the gym immediately and go, arrest that guy.
At 49, Brock Lesnar does not waste a single word. He sits with the same cold stare he carried into every arena. The same look that told opponents this was not a performance. This was work. Real work. And when he talks about hate, he does not mean personal drama or locker room gossip. He means the feeling that hits him when someone disrupts his rhythm, breaks his tempo, or tries to steal a spotlight he earned through pressure and pain. Hate, in his world, is professional. It comes from impact, not emotion. The paradox has always followed him. Lesnar barely speaks, yet he creates fear without effort. Fans thought the men he respected were the ones who pushed him hardest. The truth is different. The men who pushed him hardest were the ones who made him angry. The ones who crossed the boundaries he set inside the ring and behind the curtain. He remembers the real moments, not the scripted ones. The stiff knee from Braun Strowman that made him fire a real punch to warn him. The cold stare at Undertaker after UFC 121, when both men knew the rivalry was deeper than TV. The ego battle with Kurt Angle, a machine who refused to back down even when the match turned into a test of pride. These memories build his list. They define his line. And these 5 men crossed a line he never forgave. Brock Lesnar was born in Webster, South Dakota, and built his name through force, not talk. He dominated amateur wrestling, won an NCAA title, then walked into WWE, and tore through the roster with raw power. He left to conquer UFC, and returned even sharper, carrying the same silent intensity that made him unpredictable. Lesnar never cared about fame. He cared about control. In every era he entered, he made the room shift. And the rivalries that shaped him were never easy or polite. They were real tests. Now he breaks down the 5 men who pushed him to his limit. Number 5, Braun Strowman enters this list for one reason, affecting his timing. Strowman learned that lesson the hard way. Their rivalry was built on power. 2 giants. 2 different versions of intensity. Created one of the most uncomfortable moments in modern WWE. It happened at the 2018 Royal Rumble. Lesnar did not talk. He responded the only way he knew inside a live match. He fired a clean right hand. Check the rhythm. Understand who you are in the ring with. Strowman staggered. The audience never realized what had happened. A shot is fine. A dangerous shot is not. The tension did not end there. Strowman represented something. The spotlight shifts. Lesnar never feared losing spotlight. He hated when someone tried to force their way into it. The ring intelligence that Lesnar demanded from anyone who stood across from him. Behind the curtain, the mood was cold.
Whenever this is out of it.
Recklessness in a match with Brock Lesnar is not acceptable. You can hit him. You can push him. You can between them. Some were smoother. Some were not. Strowman always tried to impress, but Lesnar did not care about .com
and .com.
Number 4. Roman Reigns became a source of tension for Brock Lesnar the moment WWE positioned him as the future of the company. Lesnar never cared about locker room politics. He never wanted to be the face of anything. But he hated when someone was placed in his path, not because of rivalry but because the system needed a hero. Reigns was that hero. And every time they met, the pressure around them created a heavy, silent conflict. Their first major collision came at WrestleMania 31. Reigns walked in as the chosen one. Lesnar walked in as the champion who earned his spot through force. The match turned into a fight for control. Reigns absorbed punishment and kept smiling. Lesnar did not like that smile. He saw it as a challenge. He saw it as someone trying to prove they could withstand his power. And he hated that type of challenge because it turned the match into a test of pride. Still, the match worked because both men understood the stakes. The moment Seth Rollins cashed in, the tension did not disappear. It only grew deeper. And quote, over the next years, the rivalry became repetitive. Reigns was pushed as the main attraction. Lesnar was brought back again and again to face him. Neither man asked for it. The company forced the dynamic, and that is where Lesnar's frustration began. He hated being placed in a loop with someone he did not choose. He hated the expectation that their match would fix fan reactions. Lesnar is not a fixer. He is a weapon. When he is used as a tool to solve a booking problem, he loses patience. Backstage, both men kept things professional. But the air was stiff. Lesnar did not dislike Reigns as a person. He disliked what Reigns represented. A company favorite, a protected star, someone expected to stand toe-to-toe with him before earning that right in his eyes. That clash of perception made every encounter feel heavier. WrestleMania 34 amplified everything. The audience rejected the match before it even started. Reigns took a brutal beating. Lesnar left the ring with blood on his gloves and no satisfaction in his expression. He hated the noise. He hated the pressure. He hated feeling like the match existed for reasons beyond competition. Years later, their rivalry finally found structure. Reigns evolved into a stronger performer. Lesnar respected improvement. But the early years left a mark. Roman Reigns became number 4 on this list because he was never just an opponent. He was the symbol of the machine. And Brock Lesnar has always hated the machine more than any man who stands across from him. Number 3. Goldberg entered Brock Lesnar's career like a collision. 2 power athletes. 2 explosive styles. 2 men who did not like sharing space. Their rivalry was never built on long storylines or deep character arcs. It was built on ego. Real ego. And Lesnar hated that from the start because Goldberg represented something he could not control. A force created outside his era promoted as an equal without proving it to him inside the ring. Their first major meeting came at WrestleMania 20. Both men were leaving the company. Both were frustrated with the situation. The crowd turned against them before they even locked up. Lesnar hated that energy. He hated being trapped in a match that was not about competition but about noise, timing, and disappointment. Goldberg stood across from him with the same frustration. The ring became a cage for 2 men who wanted out. The match ended, but the resentment stayed. Years passed. Lesnar conquered UFC. Goldberg disappeared, then returned. When WWE booked their rematch in 2016, Lesnar saw it as unfinished business. A moment to correct the past. Instead, Goldberg shocked him. The spear came fast. The jackhammer came next. Lesnar hit the mat before he could settle into rhythm. He hated that moment. Not because he lost, but because he was beaten before he could engage. He respects power. He respects speed. But he hates when a match feels incomplete. Goldberg took away the structure Lesnar always demands. Behind the curtain, both men kept calm. They were professionals. But the tension was real. Lesnar does not forget when someone steps into his territory and disrupts the balance. Goldberg did that twice. He forced Lesnar to rethink strategy. He forced him into a corner where instinct replaced control. And Lesnar hates losing control more than anything. Their final showdown at WrestleMania 33 brought closure. This time, Lesnar dictated the pace. Goldberg fired back with force, but Lesnar stayed on rhythm. Suplex after suplex. Measured. Precise. Controlled. The match ended with a clean victory. Lesnar walked out satisfied. But the history that led to that moment is why Goldberg lands at number 3. He is one of the few men who ever shook Lesnar's confidence. One of the few who beat him before he could breathe. One of the few who created real fire beneath his calm exterior. Goldberg did not become Lesnar's enemy. He became a mirror. A reminder that even the strongest can be hit before they are ready. And Brock Lesnar has hated that feeling from his first day to his last. Number 2. The Undertaker. The Undertaker is different from every other name on Brock Lesnar's list. Lesnar did not hate him as a man. He hated what he represented. A towering legacy. A standard every wrestler was measured against. A myth that lived inside WWE for decades. And Lesnar was forced to confront that myth from the moment he arrived. Their rivalry did not start in a match. It started the first time they looked at each other backstage, when both understood that only one of them could be the dominant presence in the room. In 2002, Lesnar was young and explosive. Undertaker was established, respected, the anchor of SmackDown. Their feud grew from that contrast. Lesnar pushed too fast, Undertaker resisted, and the matches became more than scripted fights. They became struggles for ground. Lesnar hated that Undertaker did not move for him. He hated that he had to earn every inch. No one else made him work that hard at that age. Yet their real friction came years later. UFC 121. Lesnar had just lost. Undertaker was in the crowd. Their eyes locked. The moment froze. No storyline. No cameras planned it. Undertaker asked, "You want to do it?" And Lesnar kept walking. That exchange lit a spark. Lesnar hated the implication. He hated the challenge. He hated the public nature of it. Right 7 Maing. Lesnar hated the challenge. Because it blurred the line between the business and the fight, and Lesnar values that line more than anyone. Then came WrestleMania 30. The night the streak died. Lesnar did not celebrate. He did not smile. He walked out as if he had completed a job he never asked for. And that is where the real tension lived. Lesnar hated the weight of that victory. He hated being placed in a moment that carried decades of history he did not create. The pressure, the outrage, the noise. None of it belonged to him, but all of it landed on him. Their next matches were stiff and heavy, 2 men refusing to give ground. Lesnar respected Undertaker's toughness, but the rivalry remained sharp. Lesnar hated how Undertaker always pushed him to the edge of control. He hated how every sequence demanded full awareness. He hated knowing that one mistake could flip the match. Undertaker had that power. Very few did. But the truth beneath the intensity is simple. Lesnar did not hate Undertaker the way he hated carelessness or ego. He hated the shadow Undertaker cast. He hated the expectations that followed. He hated the pressure of standing across from someone the entire business treated as immortal. That kind of hate is professional. It is heavy. It is lasting. And it is why The Undertaker stands at number 2. And its stand of heavy. The center professional. With the fessional. The sitter professional. With the fessional sitter. In this fessional. And it's not lane. And this laning.
The sitter professional.
Kurt Angle is the only man Brock Lesnar ever saw as a true equal in pure wrestling. And that is exactly why Lesnar hated facing him more than anyone else. Angle was not just another opponent. He was an Olympic gold medalist with the mindset of a machine. He walked into every match with the confidence of someone who had already survived the highest pressure stage in sports. Lesnar felt that the moment they locked up, Angle did not hesitate. He did not react with fear. He pushed back. Hard. And Lesnar hated anyone who took away his physical advantage. Their rivalry began in 2002 and immediately felt different from anything Lesnar had experienced. Most wrestlers struggled to match his strength. Angle matched it and added speed. Most wrestlers reacted to his explosiveness. Angle absorbed it and reversed it. Lesnar soon realized he was wrestling someone who could control the pace, break the tempo, and make him uncomfortable. That discomfort turned into a specific kind of hate. Not emotional. Not personal. Competitive. Intense. The hate a fighter feels when someone threatens his identity. Behind the curtain, the tension was real. Angle challenged Lesnar to a shoot wrestling match. No cameras. No script. Just 2 world-class athletes testing each other. Lesnar took the challenge. The match was rough, heavy, fast. No one dominated. Angle proved he was not intimidated. Lesnar hated that. Not because he lost, but because he did not win. It was the first time he felt someone could match his foundation. WrestleMania 19 became the breaking point. Angle was injured badly, but refused to step away. Lesnar entered the match with pressure, respect, and frustration all at once. He hated that Angle would not protect himself, yet he also hated the expectation placed on both of them to deliver something historic. The match became a battle of wills. Angle pushed through pain. Lesnar nearly knocked himself unconscious with the botched shooting star press. When it ended, Lesnar held the title, but the rivalry did not feel settled. Their later matches remained sharp. Angle always forced Lesnar to think, adjust, and fight differently. He countered the power. He disrupted the rhythm. He exposed any hesitation. Lesnar hated wrestling, someone who knew his patterns better than anyone else. Angle read him like a book. Very few wrestlers ever did. And yet beneath the frustration there was something deeper. Angle is the only opponent who left a permanent imprint on how Lesnar approached the ring. He forced Lesnar to evolve. He forced him to respect technique as much as strength. He forced him to admit that raw power alone is not enough. That is why Kurt Angle is number one. Not because he hurt Lesnar, but because he could match him. And Brock Lesnar has always hated the man who can match him. Brock Lesnar has never cared about popularity. He has never cared about the stories fans build around him. What he cared about were the moments when control slipped, when someone pushed him off rhythm, when the match turned into something raw and unpredictable. That is where his hate lived. Not in emotion, but in pressure. The 5 wrestlers on his list did more than challenge him. They exposed sides of him he preferred to keep buried. They forced him to adjust. They forced him to question timing, strength, and instinct. And Lesnar never forgets the people who force him to change. Strowman tested his patience. Reigns tested his position. Goldberg tested his confidence. Undertaker tested his endurance under weight he never asked to carry. Angle tested his identity as an athlete. Together they built the version of Brock Lesnar the world knows. The quiet destroyer. The man who walks alone. The man who respects few and fears none. In the end, hate for Lesnar was never personal. It was the cost of standing in front of him. And now the question turns to you. Which rivalry made Brock Lesnar the most dangerous man in WWE?